Chelladurai Inc. show. Alongside me is Jordan, Pravin, Philip, who will be joining us momentarily. So we have a wonderful show for you guys tonight. In case for all who doesn't know, for all who don't know, today is Thursday evening. It is June 23rd, sounds like? Yes, June 23rd. As we normally do at this time, I have a very, very quick sports update, as we always do in the beginning of our show, because I want to get straight to our guests, as we do have a wonderful one for tonight. But I want to just talk about real quick the NBA Finals, as LeBron James was able to take a commanding Game 7 victory for the Cleveland Cavaliers as they win the championship, beating Golden State Warriors. Truly amazing. They were down 3-1 going back to Oakland for a Game 5. They win that Game 5 in Oakland. They then win the Game 6 in Cleveland to go back to Oakland for Game 7 and then close it out. Truly historic, truly monumental. You really got to put LeBron James up there, whether you love him or hate him, with one of the greatest that have ever played. So they're just partying all week in Cleveland. Big ups to them. I'm glad basketball's over, though, to be honest. But moving right along, baseball right now, we have a couple games actually still in play right now. 6-6 tied up, Diamondbacks and the Rockies in Colorado. Oakland and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are playing. Oakland up 5-2 over the Angels in Anaheim. San Francisco beats Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh 5-3. Philadelphia 7-3 over the Minnesota Twins. Seattle Mariners lose on the road heading to Detroit as the Tigers win 5-4. Boston wins at home over the Chicago White Sox in extra innings at 8-7. Chicago Cubs lose to the Miami Marlins as the Miami Marlins are coming back in second place in their division. They're red hot. They got pitching. They got batting. They're really doing well in the middle, right before the All-Star break. The New York Mets lose to the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta Braves also making a comeback. They were the worst team in the Major League Baseball in the big leagues right now. But I think they're coming. They're coming back. I think they may still be the worst, but they're climbing. They're climbing. And San Diego wins on the road in Cincinnati at a score of 7-4. Football, we're still in the mix. Got a couple big signs over here for the San Diego Chargers. I won't bore you guys with that. But that's pretty much all I had for sports. We talk about hockey or golf or, whatever, but, people really don't pay too much attention to that. Folks, I do have a wonderful guest tonight, as everybody knows, and if you don't know, as first-time listener, what Jordan and I do on the Chelladurai Inc. show, we have what's called an Entrepreneurial Spotlight segment, where we bring somebody aboard, whether they're in music, whether they're in business, whether they're really in anything, and we have them talk about their background, their passion, what they've done in the past, doing currently, and what they plan to do in the future. It's really to engage all of our young and up-and-coming aspiring entrepreneurs and businessmen and women that are that just seek success. And I did have a great conversation last week with a woman who goes by the name of Lucy Hoger. And I'll actually let her, she's Lucy Hoger. Right now she sits on the board of advisors at Candid Club and does mobile real-time market research. But I'm going to let her actually dive right in and really talk to both myself and Jordan and our audience. She's done some management consulting. She's really been in all sorts of different industries. She's a coach. She's a teacher. She's a mentor. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady, and I'm going to bring her on right now. It looks like she's on. Miss Lucy Hoger, you are live on the Chelladurai Inc. show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you very much for hosting me. This is just a real privilege and honor to talk with you, Aaron, and certainly Jordan as well. And to your listeners, this is really exciting for me. So just a little bit of background. I describe myself as a recovering CEO. I've traveled over 2 million miles. In my work, I have both a consulting background with Price Waterhouse and have worked with the top Fortune 50 companies around the world to do their strategies. And I also have a Silicon Valley background where I've been a CEO and C-level doing a lot of high-tech work in there and a lot of the infrastructure work that has been going on. Served on over 12 board of directors. And why I say I'm a recovering CEO is about 3 years ago, I looked around while I was in Wall Street and saying, I'm certainly doing terrific work for these companies, but it's only a handful of individuals. So what I really want to do was take all the things that I've learned, all the experience, and really bring it into the marketplace where I can really help small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs with the knowledge that I have to encourage them to really become successful. Because, most businesses that start fail within the first 5 years, and I'm convinced that it's really not because for lack of trying or determination, but it's just they don't have the know-how. And if there's a way for me to take their problems, I always say that I take business problems and turn them into profits. And if I can shortcut that by several months, if not years, then that's really what I'm all about. I really want to reach out and help and encourage entrepreneurs to really be their best and to really avoid the kind of common mistakes that we see, certainly in the corporate world, that we know how to handle. But because of that experience, I'm going to be able to bring that in and really shorten that failure to success ratio. And that's really what I'm about. So right now I am working with small businesses. I've written one book, which has gone international bestseller, called Ignite Inspiration. And I've actually have an Instagram account with 180,000 followers and it's Visionosity Magazine. So I'm also publishing a free magazine on the Apple newsstand called Visionosity, where I bring to light all those great business owners who are doing great work and have wonderful advice, but you know what? They're never going to make it on Fortune or Forbes or Success Magazine. They're not that ranking, but there's just so many great people out there, so I give people a platform for their voice. What I'm up to in the future, well, I'm currently working on and will be publishing a new book in about the next 60 days called Wired for Results. And it's actually the formula that I used to do all the corporate turnarounds. It is 7 steps, and not only have I done that in corporate, but I've actually tried it out in a chiropractic office and with some sheep herder farmers in Australia. So I've taken everything from New York all the way to Australia, and I know the formula works. So that's what I'm about, and that's what I really encourage people to don't give up on your dreams. It's really hard, and it's very discouraging when you're by yourself and you're only talking to the 4 walls and just reading emails. But I got to tell you, just stay with it. Stay with that dream. There are people like myself out here who are really reaching out to the community and really want to help everyone succeed wherever possible. And we're here to serve. So that's a little bit about who I am and what I'm up to.
Wonderful, Lucy, wonderful. And, you deal with a lot of different people, different industries, different markets. How being that, you deal with all walks of life with people, what are the similarities? What one thing that you kind of preach to these people that you help and you coach in all these different industries, how, being that they're all different in different markets and they're all differentiated and they all have their own little things, what are you able to really tell these people, regardless of what market they're in, that will actually really benefit them? Is it a case-by-case scenario? Do you really look at each one of them, or are there some overall, just rules of thumb that you give these people?
Yeah, great question. Actually, there is a common baseline. And here's what I find. What I find is you can certainly have all the various technologies and approach, and every industry has its own competitors, and you can go do all that analysis. So let me tell you what I find at the core. So whenever I start working with somebody, I start to ask them really to dive into the following things. Number one is, tell me what is the promise of your business. Not that you want to make $1 million, not that you want to have all of these fabulous things in life, but what is the promise that you're making to the marketplace? Because that's really the key. That's really the core of what are you really all about? What is it that your business, that if somebody brings you an opportunity and you're going to look at that going, you know what, that's not really what I'm about. and that you're willing to walk away from, or if something goes bad, that you're willing to stake your entire reputation to making it right. So first of all, Erin, it really talks about the clarity of what are you really all about. Simon Sinek has a great book that says start with why. And that he has certainly there's a TED Talk on this if anybody wants to go look at it. And there's a lot of value to what he's saying, because if you don't understand why you're doing it, who are you really servicing, how are you going to go to the marketplace with this, and what is the difference that you're going to make at the core, all these other tools and techniques are just get really clouded and really fuzzy when it comes to trying to make a clear determination of the business. The second thing I look at is I start talking to them about the people, because these aren't individuals necessarily that have an idea, that haven't started yet. I don't know how to start. Most of these individuals that I work with and large companies have people. And the next thing I do is I start to take apart the people challenges that they have. Because you know what? No matter what technology, no matter what business, I've been in hundreds and hundreds of businesses around the world, everything boils down to one thing, and we're all in the people business. If you've got somebody who isn't doing the job right, if you've got the wrong skill set, if your team isn't getting along, it will really throw off the entire purpose of the business. So that's the next thing I really focus on, is really the people side of it, and what is the culture that you're trying to pull together. And let me give you an example. Some people like to put cultures around, hey, we want to make it more like a family, and everybody kind of wins and works together. And if I understand that, then great, we're going to put a team together that is comfortable with that. But then there are other kinds of organizations like Google who's really about innovation. They really want to be mavericks. They want to get out there and try something new, and that's really fantastic. What I find, for example, in the financial services world, they really are all about structure, hierarchy, understanding the rules. Everything is organized in a very simple way. So when I look at businesses, that's the first thing I look at, is really what I call the promise, the culture, and the people. And once you have that as the foundation of your business, then we can begin to add all the other layers of marketing and sales and technology and financials and all the other things that go on top of that. Because if that's broken, trust me, the business itself is broken. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Very much so. Jordan, do you have a question at all for Lucy?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Lucy. I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for joining us tonight. Definitely your time is heavily appreciated by us and all of our audience. So thank you for that.
My honor and my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. And, Lucy, so, I'm really trying to get a solid understanding of from the kind of the oversight and the top-down approach that you have, and it's really inspiring to see someone work across so many different industries, because that's always been something that I've kind of thought of and envisioned that would also always be an awesome position to be blessed with. What would you kind of attribute the web that you've spun of so many different connections and your network? I know it must be difficult to kind of attribute it to just one thing, but if you could kind of sum it up to certain actions that you took in life which brought you to the position that you're currently in, that would be an awesome kind of to get your thoughts on that.
Yep, no problem. First of all, the way I look at things going into any new venture is the very first thing I think about is how can I serve this market? How can I be of service to them? So I tend to look at any time I entered a career, and I've had several mini careers, if you would, from being an accountant. By the way, my background is an accountant. So I went from tax accounting to Pricewaterhouse management consulting to Gemini strategy to Silicon Valley running high-tech businesses. And every time I entered into this, I actually gave myself basically looked at it in four parts. the first part, whenever I'd go into a new business, a perfect example is when I went from Price Waterhouse and saw that the internet was really going to take off and there's really great things going on, I actually gave myself a demotion. So the first thing I tell you is never look to necessarily always take the highest position, but say, look, let me go into the apprenticeship and learn, because that's really what Henry Ford did. And so did Howard Hughes. They'd always go in at the line level and really to understand the inner workings of certain companies and how certain things are done. Because really that's, if you would, the first part of the first quarter is I really went back and I said, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to say I'm going to probably make 80% errors and 20% wins, and it's okay. And I got to tell you guys, there were several times I thought I was going to be fired because I'd make mistakes. But you know what? That's what you have to do. You got to get yourself out there, and you got to be able to learn from the mistakes, ask for forgiveness, and know that you're just going to get better. The next part of it, at the end of that quarter, I look at things and go, okay, what worked and what didn't work? Now I know what I've got to go really research, hone in on, just read as much as I can, and practice that specific skill. So, for example, when I went into the technology world, I knew that I'd need to understand really how software architectures worked. I knew how to do project management, but I didn't understand that part. So I really sat down with a lot of engineers, and they taught me late at night how to actually do architectures. Then I figured out, okay, this is really great. Now I've got my footing. The next level that I would do is I would then begin to say, all right, now what are the milestones? You see, until I had those 2 quarters, I really never set milestones. What are the milestones that I'm going to really look for successes? These are the things I'm going to achieve. How am I going to build now on what I have learned? And then the fourth quarter was always celebration. I always said, all right, I know I can coast on these things, but I just don't coast. I'm going to celebrate all the hard work that I've done, and that also gives me an opportunity to say, all right, what's the next venture that I'm going to take on? What's the new way of looking at things? And we go on. But I got to tell you, every time you have to be ready to say, I'm going to fail more than I'm going to succeed, because I'm going to learn more than trying to figure out how I'm going to win. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, definitely it does. And I'm just kind of blown away, to be honest, at how it seems like, your organization and the mental organization and the way you're able to articulate all your thoughts across are extremely focused, hyper-focused. Is this something that you do you plan out a lot of your mental strategies? Do you put them down on paper, or do you work on spreadsheets? Because dealing with so many different things, how do you keep track of it without, going crazy?
Yeah, great question. I have in my office around 12 to 15 whiteboards. So the first thing I do is I brainstorm. Even when I was in corporate, I actually had every single wall in my office put up with nothing but whiteboards. Because whiteboards, the entire office, if you walked in, I didn't want paintings, I wanted whiteboards wherever possible, because this is, and we're talking floor to ceiling, by the way. Everything was as big as I could get it, with stools where I could get up there because I'm rather short to do that. And so first of all, to answer your question is, I love to brainstorm on whiteboards. Because I can visually see it, I can put it away, and I see it in really big. And then from there, certainly you go on, and there's tons of management tools that you use, Excel, calendars, there's Trilling. Everybody has these great tools that they can go monitor and look at that. But I tend to do rather simple things. It's either going to be a whiteboard, an Excel spreadsheet, or a Word document. I don't get caught up in a lot of technologies because things tend to change pretty quickly, and I want to be able to just print and go. I have all these folders for all these different projects that I'm working on, but each one of the projects I work on have at least 2 whiteboards assigned to them. So that's how I organize it.
Okay.
Yeah, the books that I've written, and like I said, this is the second book. They have, each of those books had 4 whiteboards that I could map out. What is it that I'm going to write? What are the ideas, the research that I was going to do? And literally, I would then sit down and crank out like 2,000 words. And it was because it was all kind of in the whiteboard area.
Okay, that's interesting. Wow, I'm just trying to picture whiteboards surrounding my apartment now, because that definitely makes sense, to be able to get your thoughts out and express them and bring them to life. So, yeah, that sounds awesome. And, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and by the way, people might think whiteboards are expensive. Let me tell you where I get my whiteboards. I go to Home Depot. Like, if you go to Home Depot, in the shower area, there's these nice long boards, 3 feet by 4 feet, and I think they cost all of $10.
Really?
Right? And so you take a couple of super glue nail stuff, and my husband helped me put them together. So there's 2 of them. There's back to back, and that's how I create my whiteboard. So it doesn't have to be expensive. And so, yeah, I do a lot of shopping at Home Depot.
Oh, wow. That's an awesome secret right there. I never would have thought it's coming from Home Depot. Wow. Thanks for that, definitely.
Yeah. You got it.
And, actually, I just downloaded your first book, I believe, Ignite Passion, correct?
Ignite Inspiration.
Inspiration, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just downloaded it. And, I'm excited to get into this. And you said you just finished a second one. Is that going to be released this summer?
Yes. First of all, the book that you just downloaded, what that was actually coming from my Instagram account. What I set out to do, the Instagram account is, I use it for my research. And so the first thing I said was, what are the different ways that people are seeking to be inspired and motivated? And what I said to myself was, look, I know that 15 years ago there was a book called 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey. And my question was, if Stephen were to publish it today, would it have been as big of a sensation as it was 15 years ago? And my research said no. Mm-hmm. And all of the trends that are in that book, Amazon, 99 cents, everything that is in there is actually based on all the posts that I have done over the period of a year, and really trying out a lot of different things and how people react to statements, quotes, pictures, and I did that to see how the trend would go. And so that's what that book is all about. The first half of it is really about the trends, the 7 trends, and then the rest of it is 90 of the 90 quotes that were most popular with my captions.
Wow. Okay, definitely. Yeah, I'm really excited to get into that now. And so a lot of that from the book would tie back to the online magazine that you're also running, yes. Visionosity Mag.
That's correct. Yep, that's correct. It all ties together. It is really about really understanding. There's a lot of great books that are a bit in hindsight, will tell you some things are pretty standard and stable, but the kind of work that I'm doing, some of the stuff hasn't been written and you can't find it in blogs. So I try to come up with ways to getting this information out to business owners, to solopreneurs, to people who want to know, hey, what's working today? And that's really and to the extent that I can, I give it out to the world, because I believe that if you seed the field, blessings will be returned to you in tenfold. I've always had that observations, even in corporate, I would go in and start doing work for a client to show them the kind of work they were doing before the contract was negotiated.
Wow.
Nobody ever did that in business. Right, but because you just kind of went on, you kind of knew, it was just some legal clauses we had to figure out, and it's like, look, this is good faith effort, and I had a lot of CEOs tell me I was absolutely insane, but tell you what, not only did they sign the contract, but I usually got bonuses, and I got some additional things put in the contract for additional work that I probably would have had a harder time, but because they saw the quality of people we brought to the table, the integrity of the work that we did, and the willingness to make them successful, I tell you, it worked every time. So if it works in corporate, it works anywhere else.
Wow.
Just want to interject real quick. Folks, for you guys just joining the Chelladurai Inc. show tonight, we have very special guest, strategic consultant Lucy Hoger on, as she dubs herself the recovering CEO. You can find her on her Instagram account, Visionosity Magazine, and she has already authored one book called Ignite Inspiration, with another one. I believe the second one is in the mix. Is it Wired for Results?
Yeah, Wired for Results. Everybody talks about being wired for success, but nobody ever tells you how to get the results you need to be successful, and that's what I'm all about. That's why I called it Wired for Results.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. So I guess, I wanted, you guys took the words out of my mouth as you guys started talking about your first book. I guess my question for you, Lucy, about Ignite Inspiration, and I know I probably have to read your book, which I'd love to do, but what is really the thesis of your first book, and how do you, if you could paraphrase for us and our audience, how do you ignite your inspiration? What is kind of the cliff notes to your book all about?
Sure, and really here it is, right? The first thing that people are looking for is something that's actionable, right? They want, let me give you the comparison, right? When Stephen Covey wrote his book, he had he had this blueprint, and this is, you have to get all these pieces of your life in focus before you start the week, and you know what? That's not it. Here, the upshot of it is people are looking for really targeted advice. Give me something that I can put into action, 3, 4, 5, 10 things, not a lot of them, that I know that I can go get into action today. I want you to solve I want you to help identify the problem and solve that problem. Secondly, they want it to be succinct. Don't have me go through 10 hours of video. Just give it to me in a quick, simple way to digest it. Break it down into 15 minutes or 10-minute video if you're going to do it, or something that's really more of a checklist to really get on and really working that through. And that's what they're also looking at. They want to really connect. So here's another interesting thing. No longer is it the expert up on the stage that people are looking to say, okay, well, I'm going to follow him, like, say, an Anthony Robbins. People are going to YouTube today, and experts are really born out of that platform, or Snapchat is another great platform. So if people really want to be inspired, they want to be able to say, hey, can you relate? If I have a particular condition and I'm trying to lose weight, well, I'm certainly not going to go look at a movie star who doesn't really have to worry about picking up the kids and having to cook dinner and having a full-time job. I'm going to go take the advice from somebody who is a mom, who has a full-time job and who has her hands full. So, again, the term expert has really morphed, I would say, over the course of the last a few years, because now it's really, can I relate to you, as opposed to, are you my icon? And finally, what's interesting is that people are wanting to be motivated and be tied to a cause. So no longer is it somebody that wants to be individually motivated. And the perfect example is Tom Shoes, right? I'm going to go buy a pair of shoes, but I'm going to feel really, really great because they're going to give that pair of shoes to some needy children. Or I'm going to go buy a bottle of water, but I know that particular bottle of water is going to help in Africa, the Clean Water Project. So again, if you're going to be motivating it, it's no longer good enough to just motivate the individual. That individual wants to know that whatever they're doing, they're part of a community that is really going to help more people because they were involved, they took action, and something that they could give back, not necessarily monetarily, but something that they can give back. They say, I was a part of that. I was a part of that. Be it a picture, a poem, encouraging words. It doesn't have to be something tremendous, but believe it or not, something as simple as a very simple paragraph that is written that is sent off to somebody in a really terrible situation, and they hear, hey, it made a difference. That is really the way to get motivated to help people be part of a community. So hopefully I've given you some highlights of what's in the book.
Absolutely, Lucy. Absolutely. This is knowledge that you really can't put a price on. I'm over here just, writing notes as I'm just vomiting words out with my pen. So, Lucy, normally what we do, and you touched on it a little bit, what we ask our guests, Jordan and I both, we are very big readers, and you're an author yourself. And I was wondering if there's any inspirational literature that has, and I'm sure there has, but if you could name a few books that you've read over your personal and professional career that has really strengthened you and helped you to be the businesswoman that you are today. Is there any ones that really stick out to you as just absolute must-reads?
Yeah, so of course the grandfather of them all is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I just love that piece of work. What I'll tell you is what started my career, I actually followed two very specific individuals. One of them was Norman Vincent Peale, which was The Power of Positive Thinking. In that particular book, he had some wonderful business advice, and that's really what got my thought process going early in my career about how to look at business in a giving back way, as opposed to always taking first and then giving back. So I'll tell you him. The other person that I follow a lot is really John Maxwell. If you're familiar with his works, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Again, my premise is that I can tell you all about the tech world, but every business is all about leadership, and that is where I learned my craft, is by reading his books and on leadership and team building, teamworks, and things of this nature. So I'd say if you went and started your reading started reading those individuals, of course, Zig Ziglar, these are all the classic authors that started this movement way back. I think you would find a value to that.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I wrote that down. Power of Positive Thinking. And the author, who's the author of that one more time, Lucy?
Yeah, Norman Vincent Peale.
Jordan, have you read that book by chance?
I haven't. I really, that's definitely, that was the hammer that hit the nail on the head. I'm definitely reading it. I've heard of it before, but definitely.
Yeah, this was way before, guys, like Anthony Robbins came up with Unleash the Power Within. What I always like to go back to is really where did the movement start and where were the thoughts. I always go back to really the beginning of the teachings, because a lot of these books and a lot of these teachers have really taken their spin off of the original masters. So understand that what I always look for is where did the concept originate from? I always go back to the source.
Makes sense, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. One other one, if I would add in there is because when we look at in today's world that everything is kind of limited and closed and things of this nature, I would recommend reading Abundance by Peter Diamandis. He's a SpaceX guy, and he's the one that says the future is better than you think. So to kind of put a end cap to this, the most recent one that I would say really hit home, and I've got a ton of other books that I read on future thinking, but Peter's always been one that I follow because he has such a positive way of looking at life, and I really appreciate his world and his view of abundance.
I think that came out either last year or 14, right? It's a relatively new book, right?
It's a very, very new book, and that's why I wanted to show you guys that there are new writings, if you would, like Peter, who have come up, and it really tends to change the perspective when you start to look at everything that's in the news and how terrible things are and how limiting. And don't get me wrong, we are going through some really tragic times and difficult times, but it doesn't mean that all is lost.
Right. Right. And if I could also just touch on that, build on that same thought, it's so difficult for just the general, the average person to stay focused and actually accomplish things in such a noisy world. As far as like the what the media is blaring out at us, and now it's even infiltrating into the social media through the monetization and advertisements which are being pumped through. How important is it to kind of put your blinders on, for lack of better terms, to what the pollution that's going on out there?
Yeah, I would tell you, for me, it's critical, right? I will look at news, certainly from the global markets and the financial markets, but there's just enough to be able to understand where trends are going. So I tend to study trends, and I tell you, I will say that a lot of the news that's out there are somebody's opinion about a particular item. So there might be a tragic event that happened around the world. Well, then you're lining up with 100 people that'll give you their opinion. I don't need to hear their opinion, right? The tragedy happened. It's terrible. But now I've got to focus on how can I make a difference in the world. So if you want to make a difference in the world, certainly be informed. Don't be, put the covers over your head and be an ostrich about it. Be informed, but it doesn't mean that you have to absorb all of that. And that's certainly what I do. Because if I listen to the news all the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end tomorrow. The apocalypse is here. Life is over. I turn the TV off. I turn everything else off, and I just say, well, let's assume a life of abundance, and let's just go serve people. And that's what gets me right-sided and keeps me motivated.
Sure, makes sense, definitely.
Yep, because that's what the media has always put forth their point of view in the most negative light as possible. But a lot of the collapse and a lot of the things that they say are going to happen, most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time their prediction doesn't. And the things that do happen, they never predicted it, which I find to be rather interesting. Right? Then they didn't predict that was going to happen, but there it is. There's a tsunami. There was no way for them to predict that, and then that's an example of all these people in the world, and there's a tsunami. But now you see on the news, weeks and weeks of terrible tragedy and human suffering that goes on about that. But so it's never as bad as it seems to be, and it's also never as perfect as people tell you it is. Right.
Sure. And that's awesome. So with the Visionosity magazine, I just want to give a little kind of a shout out to everyone as far as that goes. Please check it out, visionicitymag.com. And it looks like you actually visionicitymag.com, and we'll put a link up for it. And it looks like actually it's written in several languages, because we do have some of our international listeners from Spain and India, but it looks like quite a few different languages are being translated in it.
And so it's for free. It's on the Apple newsstand. Again, I try to put as much as I can out in the world for people to consume, and also what I'm soon, hopefully by next month, it'll also be up on the Android.
Oh, nice, perfect.
Yeah. So I'm working to get it approved, through the Google Play, so it'll also be available there. But that would be terrific.
That's awesome. Yeah. So again, thank you again, Lucy, and I'll let Aaron wrap with you. But thank you again. Really appreciate your time. It's been an awesome show, and hopefully we can, connect further in the future.
Absolutely, it's been my honor and my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Lucy, this is Aaron. I'm absolutely just very, very gracious and grateful to the fact that you were able to come on and share your knowledge and your skill set with us. Is there any last words before we go? We just have a couple minutes. If there's anything else you'd like to, really say, I mean, you said a lot, and you have the floor for the next, minute or two of anything that you'd like to say. Feel free.
Got it. So to your listeners, I'd say this. Look, I encourage you guys to really just understand that whatever is in your heart, whatever it is that you're dreaming of, don't give that up. Don't ever let somebody tell you that it's not possible. Don't ever let somebody tell you you're not smart enough, you're not good enough. Look, I grew up on dirt streets. I was dyslexic, and I really have really poor eyesight. And I lived in a border town between the U.S. and Mexico, and my first language was Spanish. So I'm a Mexican Lebanese, and I tell you, it's one of these things, if I can do it, you can do it. And it's just because you have to believe in yourself. You have to surround yourself with people who believe in you and who are success-minded, and that they too want to, they too want to succeed, because it will become contagious. It really will become contagious. And there are people like myself out there who want to mentor and who want to guide this new group of entrepreneurs that are coming up, because this is really going to make the world a better place. New ideas are coming up constantly. There's always an evolution, a revolution, and a transformation that's going on, and it all starts with an idea. It starts with a dream. It starts with that passion. And more importantly, it starts with the willingness to never give up in spite of the circumstances, in spite of what might be going on, and just knowing that you are good enough and that the world is waiting for your gifts. So please, please don't give up. Follow that dream, and just know that you will win in the long run. It's going to take a little bit of hard work. It's going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of long nights, and a lot of days of thinking, oh, my God, what the heck am I doing? But trust me, at the end, it does work out. So those are my parting words.
Thank you so much again, Lucy. Folks, Lucy Hoger, find her on Visionosity Magazine. Check her out check her Ignite Inspiration out, as well as her Wired for Results, as that is in the works and coming out in the next 60 days. Lucy, I want to thank you so much again on behalf of us over here at the Chelladurai Inc. show. We couldn't thank you enough. Thanks for staying up. I know you're out in Texas, and it's a quarter to midnight there, so we really appreciate it. Be well. We wish you all the best, and we'll definitely connect in the near future.
Yep, y'all take care, and thanks again for having me on. It was an honor and a blessing. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Okay. Y'all take care.
Thanks,
Good night.
Folks, again, that's Lucy Hoger, strategic consultant, does everything. Really sounds like she's a jack of all trades. That's going to do it for our show tonight, as that really was a full 45 minutes. We do cut out on 30 minutes on our platform, but if you guys do log in, hopefully anybody who still is hearing this is on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it, Chelladurai Inc. I'm not going to spell it for you guys anymore. Look it up. And that's pretty much it. Jordan, any last words at all before we go? We got about 60 seconds. Got just
awesome,
over a minute to go.
Awesome show.
Yeah,
awesome show.
Wonderful.
I mean, it was a great experience to have someone of such a magnitude join us, and I guess that's just further proof cemented into the show to show that, hey, you can dream it, you can do it, you can achieve it. We're living proof of it, so just keep going.
That's right, folks, and I hope this show hit you guys as hard as it hit us. Same time next week, we've got another wonderful guest lined up for us, but that was Lucy Hoger again. Check her out, LinkedIn, again, Visionosity Magazine, and Ignite Inspiration is her book. That's the next one I'm going to read. She was wonderful. Same time next week, same day, and new guests. Get those missions down, keep your head high, that middle finger higher, hustle, grind, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Sometime back in 87, it happened when people all got to chatting. From Dago back up to Staten, that there was a kid on the rise, not from the heavenly skies, but out of a woman who had the look and passion and love in her eyes. As you can see, I don't fall far from the tree. I harnessed that passion and love and made it as big as could see. Cause now I'm up in this cage where I be spitting this rage, dropping knowledge like we in college, we in a coming of age. To all my brothers and sisters, there ain't no time to be patient. It's time to get up and get it rather than just be complacent. They say that life is a lease, so be that as it may. Make sure you stacking that money and making rent every day. We keep it poppin' every day as we choppin' money through Sunday. How we stay on a grind. You know we rockin' when it's thumpin' and knockin'. If you with it, then baby come on by. We keep it poppin' every day as we choppin' money through Sunday. How we stay on a grind. You know we rockin' when it's thumpin' and knockin'. If you with it, then baby come on by.
Time's ticking, I'm on the run. Head straight, focused on collecting funds. Get a milli, then I'm going for another one. On a marathon, so my work's never done. Heart of a lion, soul of a prince. Game face on the field taking hits. See, I'm loving this, that's real shit. I do it for the ones without a pot to take a piss. I've seen real struggle, way too close to home. So it's all in, going deep in my zone. Let me introduce him to Pravin. Yeah, I'm on 28 and 2015, the kid's grown. Turn the sound up loud to the maximum. Graduated from my peers, now I'm passing up. Never cocky, baby, just honest confidence. Hard work pays off, that's fucking common sense.
We keep it poppin' every day as we choppin' Monday through Sunday. How we stay on a grind. You know we rockin' when it's thumpin' and knockin'. If you with it, then baby come on